Hello everybody, my name is Joe Squared, and today we are reviewing Spider-Man No Way Home, but we're doing a little different. There's too much to talk about, and I can't talk about this on my own, so I'm joined by, you know who, Mr. Joe.
Boo.
Boo, there he is. Woohoo, big spoiler there, he's scary. But yeah, we're going to talk about this movie. We're going to do like a podcast because there's just too much to talk about, and doing a spoiler-free review is almost pointless. All I can say if you want a
Holy
spoiler-free
shit.
review, it's just holy fucking shit. Yeah, and go and see it because this movie
Yeah.
is incredible and it is an experience, and you have to see it in the cinema. It would be a waste if you waited for it to come out on like a DVD or some shit or stream it, whatever. Like you need to see it in the cinema because it's just an
It's
amazing
that good.
experience, and yeah, you will regret it if you don't see it in the cinema. So yeah, that's the spoiler-free note for you there. Go fucking see it. Now, to start with, obviously in the trailer they portray it right as this is awful that his identity gets exposed. You know,
Mm.
you think it's like the end of it all, but in reality, it's not actually that bad, is it? Like when you think about it, because a lot of the characters, their identity is exposed. You know, like Iron Man and all these other people. So it's
Yeah.
almost not that bad. Like it's not to the worst extent like I thought it would be. You know, you agree with that? Like,
Well, obviously, people were seeing Mysterio for the first time as this new uh, villain from, well, not villain, this new goodie from a different planet.
mm,
So everyone was like, wow, is an alien actually helping out on Earth instead of us fighting aliens?
yeah,
And then they were all zoned in on him. But then when
hmm,
the stuff came out with, Peter Parker killing Spider-Man, blah, blah, that whole Shazam, and then
yeah,
into the No Way Home film. Everyone zoned in on Parker then, but I think enough people hated him at the start, but as the film went on, they were understanding because of the updates from Jonah Jameson, if you know what I
yeah,
mean.
yeah.
But yeah, I
No,
do agree with
100%.
that.
Like it's certainly not the worst that could happen. Like yeah, it's probably just more amplified because he's a student still, like he's in school. So that's why it
Yeah,
seemed probably. I think it was bad for him personally, but and then obviously the way it affected his friends, but with them not being able to get to college and stuff. But ultimately, it's not actually the worst thing. It's not that that killer. And obviously, the thing is with Peter, as we've seen in the other two movies, he's quite reactionary and he feels like he needs
yeah,
to do everything himself, right? Which is hence why he goes to Strange before exploring other options. You know,
yeah,
before like thinking, well, why don't I talk to the college? Why don't I try and explain my case publicly or something? Like, he goes straight to Strange, like, he can do magic. Let's see if he can do something, you know?
yeah. Shifting
So,
his, shifting over his request to Strange
yeah,
instead of just trying it for himself.
yeah, exactly. Like, he wants to solve everything himself, which, not the smartest idea.
Maybe that comes from him being like feeling a bit guilty for Iron Man, and you
Yeah.
know, like the guilt's just trickled into himself a bit.
Mm. And I think on top of that, the fact that in Far From Home he gave the glasses to Mysterio because he didn't want to take on the responsibility. So now he's almost got this feeling upon him of like, well, I can't shift the responsibility to anyone else anymore. I need to do everything myself because last time he tried to get someone else to do it, it backfired massively, you know.
Exactly.
So that's probably
And
why.
there's a bit which I'm sure you'll mention, but
Mm,
you know when he's making all of the parts for the villains, you
mm,
know, that's exactly something Iron Man would do, right? That's
yes.
all his tech, that's all of his gear.
Hmm.
So it was like a little homage to the old
Yeah,
Iron Man. It was very,
exactly.
very poetic, beautiful thing to
Yeah.
see. Oh, I like
It,
that.
he really seems like Tony's son in a sense. In a sense, he is. He is Tony's son.
Yeah,
You know, like his
yeah,
adopted son.
exactly.
Very much so. No, I couldn't agree more. But obviously, we get to Strange and we get to the spell.
Right.
What shone through was the fact that Doctor Strange's cockiness and ego is still very, very clear here.
Yeah,
And that's not just with doing the spell itself, which I'll get to in a sec, but it's actually the fact that he decides to do the spell in the first place. The fact that he
Mm.
says, Wong, it's easy, we've done this before, I can do it, no problem, even though he knows the consequences of that are huge if it goes wrong, like Wong said to him. The fact he's like, I can do this, it's no problem. Like, I'm the guy, I'm the man, I can do whatever.
Yeah.
Um, and then that for me then leads on to the spell itself, where obviously Peter keeps talking, Strange is losing control because Peter wants to keep changing the specific points of the spell. He wants to be like,
Right.
actually,
Right.
I want this person to know, I want this person to know. But Strange, rather than stopping the spell for a moment and saying to Peter, listen, what is it specifically that you want? Who do you want to know? Who do you not want to know? Like, Strange jumps straight into it, and because he's so confident, he thinks he can just do the spell no matter what, even though Peter's talking and throwing him off. He's like, I'm still gonna do it. I'm still gonna do it, even though
Yeah.
the consequences are huge. I'm still just gonna do it because I'm the man, and I'm gonna do it regardless of whether it's going wrong or not. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Back to what you were saying about when Wong said we've done it before, or Strange said we've done this spell before, with the whole memory wipe thing. You
Yeah,
saw that when if he'd have done it the first time, it means
yeah,
he wouldn't have fucked it up. But it
hmm
does mean that there would have been slight tampers with the multiverse leaking through, because that's what the spell is. It's branching
yeah,
out to other universes where nobody in their universe will know Spider-Man, so no one knows
yes,
Peter Parker.
yeah.
So maybe when they've done it the first time, that's why we're seeing all of these Pietros and um,
J.
like
Jonahs and stuff. Yeah.
it's. And I have something which is confusing the fuck out of me about J. Jonathan.
Mm.
Why did he not go back to his world?
Yeah,
Is it
I,
the same character?
yeah.
Is it just the same character playing that character in the same
Mm.
universe, or is it what?
Yeah,
What is it? I don't
because
understand.
I'm wondering, like say with J. Jonah Jameson, is it just a cameo? Like, yeah, like as in he's he's the only one to ever play J. Jonah Jameson, and he's so damn good at it, they thought there's no
But they
point
just,
recasting.
yeah,
Or is it a case of because it's a multiverse, like maybe some people are the same in terms of appearance and whatnot, like
yeah,
they
of
are the same
course.
person, so they're not actually gonna look different. But I think, to be honest, they were just doing it as a cameo, in the sense that he's the best, he's the only J. Jonah, so we're gonna use him again. But then, of course, me and you were theorizing, weren't we, that he'd actually seeped through earlier. But
Yeah,
as you can tell, when you watch the movie, he doesn't recognize Doctor Octopus, or he doesn't recognize the Green Goblin, and he's much older in this film than he was in the Raimi trilogy, so he would know them. Like, if it was going to be him from the
that's
Raimi trilogy, it would be an older version of himself. So I imagine this is just a cameo.
that's also the confusing part, though. Why would he not know Green Goblin
Mm,
and the octopus?
yeah, so I got to assume he's not from Toby's universe. He's actually just a cameo here. That's what I've
Here,
landed on after.
I have this idea. It's a very far out there reach,
Mm,
but you know how his whole look was the green, the light green, the I'm about to
mm,
say that
yeah,
sort of green,
yeah,
with the whole set up inside of a house, not a studio, no more bugle, just inside
mm,
of a house,
yeah,
green screen. He was quick on the phone, straight to wherever there was some chaos going on,
hmm,
quick there, trying to figure out everything that was going on.
yeah.
What if, what if that was Mysterio the whole time? And that's why he didn't go home, and that's why J.
Yeah,
Jonah Jameson didn't go home.
that's oh what oh. You see,
That throws a
that is an
spanner in
interesting
there.
theory because Mysterio needs to
Exactly, and he
expose
did. He
Spider-Man.
did
So how
exactly
does he
that,
do it? How does he do it? He
and
works from home. He does all this weird stuff. Yeah, it's
he
completely
kept it
plausible.
going, didn't he?
Mm,
Because it was his idea in the first place, and how else is
mm,
he going to keep it going? But other than the news, putting it broadcasting,
yeah,
putting it out there. And I thought Jameson was he in the film. He never rocked up to where the crime was. He only did it in the third one when the Venom and Sandman were fighting on that scaffold, and he took
yeah,
the kid's camera. But this
yes.
time he took an entire camera crew to the
Mm.
place. Very weird.
It's a
I
very
mean, it's
interesting point. No, that's a good
it
theory.
is.
I hadn't thought of that,
It,
to be fair. So that's that is a
You know,
very interesting point. Like
I thought I'd
Mysterio,
throw it in there for someone
he
to.
can't. Could he be completely gone? We really don't know. Like anything's possible in this universe,
It
as we've
it
seen.
literally is.
As we've
I
seen.
I I don't believe a drone shot to him would have killed him, but who
No,
knows? Who knows?
who knows? Only time will tell with that. Um, so after that, of course, we get the introduction of our first villain, our first OG
Mm,
villain, which was just badass. I love the fact that in this movie as well, they actually started showing Peter's spider sense, or his
yeah,
tingle, what they want to call it. But I love the way they do it. They slow down time. The sound goes like eerie. You know, like they could play really cool audio, and you know that it's like, okay, something's about to fucking go down here.
yeah, so
That's
good.
yeah, so that was really interesting the way they played that, and Doc Ock's entrance is obviously we saw it in the trailers, but it's just
There's something
ex
else in that
it's
film.
exceptional. You know, the music they play, the original music from Spider-Man 2, and then he comes in saying, "Where's my machine?" You know, the power of the sun in the palm of my hand, and you're just like, "Oh my fuck!" Like incredible, incredible.
Everything
You know
you
what I mean?
want to hear from him,
Yeah, you
especially
know,
for his first words.
yeah, where's my machine? You just think, oh my God. So, and that obviously links directly to these villains are coming through pretty much just moments before their death, like
Yeah.
moments before. Like they are so close to death in their universe, and that's when they get pulled in. Like it chose a very specific time
Well,
to pull them in.
for Green Goblin, they said that it was a little bit before his death, so he didn't know that he was like, you know. So
Yeah, I suppose it was
same
probably
for Doc,
just
I suppose.
yeah, it's probably just before
The
he
fight with
had
Peter,
his
maybe.
final showdown because he did say obviously in this movie I should have killed your little girlfriend when I had the chance, and at one point he did have her in his hands in of course the first Spider-Man movie when he dropped her.
Yeah,
So I'm
yeah,
wondering if it's when he flew away. Um, but it would have,
maybe.
you know, it's
It's one of
something
them.
along those lines. Like it's obviously it is written in the at the end of the day, so they need to pull these villains in when it works best for what they're trying to make here. But you know, regardless
Yeah,
of that, it was still within like a time span. It was within a certain window um,
yeah.
as to when they would appear.
And with the spider sense, we've been seeing a little bit of it, haven't we? With the on the bus in Infinity War when his hair's raised on his arm,
Yeah,
and then like just a small like leading up to his actual full-on mastered spider sense where we can see
yeah,
it and it's visual and
yeah. It's like he's
very
evolving.
good. They've done that
Mm,
very well.
yeah, yeah,
He's
100%.
finally molded into the
Yeah,
Spider-Man. He
yeah.
is
It
the
feels like
Spider-Man.
he's it feels like he's the full-fledged spider now, like the like, full capabilities. Um,
Yeah,
obviously you get a great fight scene there. I really enjoyed the fight scene with Doctor Ock.
absolutely.
That was really good fun, but it was cool to see that because obviously Doc Ock is from a universe that's set 17 years before in terms of the date, and on top of that, it's also uh, his technology is outdated, and that's where Spider-Man gets control of him. It's very clear that the technology in the MCU is far ahead of the technology in both the other Spider-Man universes. Hence why the nano suit allowed him to take control of Doc Ock's arms.
Yeah,
You know, he's ahead of the curve basically compared to the rest of the villains. Because even Jamie Foxx says like, "Oh, the energy here feels different," you know. So it's like it's more powerful, more potent
yeah. I guess
in a
because
sense.
maybe there's more superheroes in the MCU that they know of as well. So it's
Yeah,
like that
yeah,
that
yeah,
feeling.
yeah. They're like more prepared in a sense, aren't they? Because they've had to deal with
Yeah,
bigger threats. Um,
exactly.
obviously, Strange explains why the spell went wrong, which we just clarified. It's rather than everyone forgetting what Spider-Man's real identity is, it's people who know who Spider-Man's real identity get pulled in, which is a very clever idea. It's a good way of spinning it in order to get these villains in, because you kind of wonder, like, how is the spell going to go a specific way that it brings Spider-Man villains in? Because that just sounds like it's been catered for the writing. But it's
Yeah,
actually a case of, well, it does make sense in
makes
terms of the
sense.
spell he was trying to do. It completely backfired and went in reverse, and instead brought through people who know who Spider-Man actually is, which is clever. You know, it doesn't seem cheap.
No, I have to say the writing in this film was the best of the three,
Yes.
Tom Holland movies, and
Mm.
the scripts were great, the comedy was there, everything was just spot on.
Yeah,
But
it was perfect.
oh
Perfect.
yeah,
Yeah, so now we have the setup for Spider-Man,
this
to
yeah we
capture
have the
these
whole
villains, which he does, kind of in like a 20-minute
Swift.
segment, he's pretty much caught everyone. Um,
Yeah,
and he's got them all locked up. And obviously, my thinking is, I don't know, maybe yours was as well, is that he's caught them all, but then somehow they're going to escape,
yeah, that's
and
literally
not
what I
turn
was
against
thinking
him.
the
And
whole time.
that's how I think the story's going to go. But the fact that these villains are from different times and places allows them to know things about each other, which is a great dynamic in the sense that, Otto Octavius is seeing Norman and saying, "You're dead." You're going into
Yeah,
the dark to fight a ghost, which is fucking such a cool line of dialogue
that is,
that is so creepy and eerie. But then obviously Jamie Foxx's Electro knows about Kurt Connors.
of
He
course.
says, you tried to turn the whole fucking world into lizards, and then Sandman goes, actually, Otto and Norman, you die as well. Yeah, like Norman, you die, not Norman, Otto, you die. Trying to do your fucking machine, like all this stuff.
Yeah,
It's very, very interesting, and that's how they sort of play against each other. And then that's when the realization comes to Peter and Doctor Strange and whatnot that, oh shit, if we send these guys back, we're sending them back to their death.
and that's what he didn't like.
But not at all. That's the good in Peter, knowing those
Yeah,
things. So obviously Peter's gonna opt to save him, like we said, because he's a good guy. And then he gets in a cool fight with Strange. Now, what did you think about that fight? 'Cause I
I
thought it
mean
was,
you can't fault that either. That's just cool as fuck, wasn't it?
yeah, I
The
mean,
part that was confusing me was that when he hit Peter out of his
body.
body
Mm.
and he was just his spiritual self, that he was evading the box.
Mm.
The box was evading him. Do you know? You know, it was,
Yeah.
and he said he's never seen that before. So I need to know why the fuck that happened and how he was able to do that.
Yeah,
Is
it's
that his
all.
spider sense in his
Yeah,
physical form?
that's
Is that
what
just?
that's what I was wondering. Yeah.
I really don't know.
Like, is
That
his
is cool
spider
to me.
sense that powerful? Or is it actually a case of fate doesn't want Strange to get the box yet? You know?
Yeah, yeah,
Even
cool.
though Doctor Strange says it is all their fate, this is all part of the plan that they have to die. But they essentially change history here. So is it actually part of the plan that Spider-Man is meant to save these villains? And that's why fate was stopping Strange from getting the box. You know?
It's almost like something was playing against Strange, wasn't it? Something's watching
Yeah.
Strange, just sort of not
Yeah.
wanting him to succeed in his mission because he was all for send them back. I fucked up. Send them back.
Mm,
I don't care what happens to them. It's
mm,
quite selfless of him. It's not really a
yeah.
superhero mindset. Like
No.
heroes are about saving everyone, even if they are bad. Like what was it? It was Chiwetel. You know Chiwetel in the last film. What was his
Mm-hmm.
name? In the Strange film. Sorry.
Yes.
Mordo.
Yeah, I can't quite remember his name, but I know who
Yeah,
you're on about.
Mordo.
Yeah.
And like they were friends, weren't they? And then
Mm,
Strange just sort of let him go off and be a
do his own
villain.
thing.
Like just
Yeah.
he didn't give a shit. But it shows maybe Strange's loyalty, which he lacks in. Maybe he only
Yes.
trusts Wong because Wong is the superior to him.
Yes. And Wong's the one that sort of gave him a chance and whatnot. But even then, you can sense a little bit
Tension there.
of tension. Yeah, like where there could be problems in the
Yeah,
future. But
yeah.
ultimately, Peter wins this fight, and he shows how capable he is.
Yeah,
But
the
once,
whole mirror dimension thing with the
yeah,
maths,
yeah.
fucking sick.
But
Sorry,
yeah,
what were you saying?
exactly. But once again, Strange, I think, showed his cockiness here and
Yeah,
his ego. I think he thought it would be so easy to beat Peter
because
in
he was
this
just
mirror
bringing him in there,
dimension.
wasn't he?
Yeah, he thinks I've already won this fight, but Peter actually outsmarted him. But Strange didn't actually seem that angry. He was almost impressed when Peter closed the
Yeah,
portal. He was thinking, "This fucking guy, I'm
he sort of
impressed."
just he just sort of sighed, didn't he, when you saw the portal closing, when he was
Yeah,
tangled up in the web. He was like
yeah,
he knew he lost.
yeah, exactly. But and even though Strange is going on about how important and how cataclysmic it can be if it goes wrong, it still seems like he's not completely fussed at times. It does seem like he's sort of like,
Yeah,
we got to do
yeah,
this, to
yeah,
be
yeah.
honest. But it doesn't seem like he's really panicking
No, no,
at
there's
any
no sense
specific
of
point.
panic.
No, it seems
Look
like
how Sorry, go on.
I was going to say, it just seems like he knows he's gonna deal with the problem eventually. If it's not
Yeah,
now, he'll do it a bit later in the day.
yeah. It was seamless to him to throw that. What's that weapon that Peter Parker used to capture them all? You know that thing on the wrist?
Oh yeah, yeah. In order to like sort of send him back like
That,
a portal gun almost. Yeah.
yeah, Strange just sort of threw it on him. You go do that. I don't give a shit. You go do
Yeah.
that. I don't give a shit. Like I don't care what happens. Just bring him back here, and I'll send him back. Press the box. Done.
Mm.
And obviously they got into the fight, so Strange got stuck for a lovely 12 hours. But
Mm.
no, yeah,
And that's the thing. You would think if that was like Tony Stark or something, he would say, "Peter, go the fuck home, and I'm gonna deal with all this myself. I'm not
exactly.
giving
Yeah,
you any power."
because
But
Tony did that, didn't he?
yeah, exactly. Like in
He'd done that
Homecoming.
before.
Yeah. So
He said, "Stop messing around with it. I'm gonna,
yeah. But
I'll take
strange.
over. You
Yeah.
go home." And then took the suit from him and everything. And I
But
think
yes.
Strange doesn't understand who he's got with him. He
Yeah.
wasn't working as a team with Strange. He was just sort of like Strange was just, I can do this. I'll do it.
Yeah, exactly. And Strange was almost like, "Oh, it's your mess. You fix it," type beat. Like
Yeah,
he was.
that's just his arrogance again.
Yeah. Once again, it's showing that it's like it'll get fixed regardless. Obviously, leading on from this, it's a really fun segment. With Peter trying to fix the villains, you get some good comedy moments. It's
Yeah,
so crazy to see these five villains from different universes all in the same room
yeah,
with
talking to
Peter
each other.
Parker.
Yeah,
It was good fun, and it was just great to see. I think all these villains were actually better than they were in their own movies, in a sense.
yeah.
Uh,
Saw a different
especially
side to them, I guess.
Yeah, especially the Amazing Spider-Man villains, I think, because those movies weren't great. The writing was poor. They had good actors and good characters, but they were just executed badly. But Jamie Foxx, I thought, was outstanding here,
Yeah,
and
he was seriously good.
yeah, and even the Lizard was great. You know, um,
Yeah, he was better.
yeah, and I think it's probably just the Raimi trilogy villains that they were great in their movie, and then they were as good here. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Um, I'd say, but I think Willem Dafoe actually sort of outdid himself in this movie compared to the first Spider-Man film. He was
He
so
seemed different.
sinister. Yeah. What I was saying to my dad was that it felt like in the first Spider-Man film, you know how it was almost like a 50-50 split, bipolar. You know what I mean? Where
Hmm.
half the time Norman was in control, half the time Goblin was in control. But here it felt like Goblin was in nearly majority of the control. Like he
Yeah,
was really Norman was barely there. He
the
really
the
was
part at
really yeah.
Feast
Yeah.
when he was sat at the table, he knew what he was doing the whole time. I
Yeah.
think he was there to understand who was closest to Peter because he knew Peter would come running as soon as Aunt May was
Yeah.
there. You know.
Because he was yeah, like you say, he was visualizing this Peter as the Peter that he knew, like Tobey Maguire's Peter, and he wanted to torment him like he did torment Tobey Maguire. You know what I mean? He wanted to play with him, hurt the people he loved, just like he did to Tobey Maguire. Because in the first Spider-Man, he nearly killed Aunt May. Um,
Hmm.
when he busts through the window, he nearly killed MJ in the first film. So it's just like, he wanted to do the same thing. It's like he just hates every version of Peter Parker that exists.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. Then obviously we get our first death of the movie. Was the only death,
Oh.
really, in a sense. But yeah, I mean,
Oh
I didn't
man.
expect it. Did you see that coming? Because I really didn't.
Do you know what? I did and I didn't. To
Mm.
be honest, my guesses before the film started was that it would be Happy Hogan,
Yeah.
and obviously it was unfortunately Aunt May, which
Mm.
I felt was necessary
Character
in
building.
exactly in order for Peter to find out that he is actually Spider-Man, that he has this responsibility to
Mm-hmm.
be the people's person, the
Mm-hmm.
neighborhood, whatever, the neighborhood hero.
Yeah.
He Yeah, no, I think May's death was obviously in the theater. I was like, "What the fuck? This is the saddest shit ever."
Mm.
Especially when he was talking to her when she was on the floor, just May, 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 talk to me, May.
Yeah, like that felt
That was
really
fucked up.
real. Mm.
His acting in that was
Yeah, phenomenal.
his best performance in any of the films he's
Yeah,
been in, like even
100%.
Endgame, Infinity War.
Yeah, 100%. Because he was like, "Why won't you talk to me, May?" You know, saying
Yeah,
stuff that probably anyone would say because they don't want to believe.
he felt very real in that moment.
Yeah, that was yeah, like you say, just really showed
It,
his acting capabilities there. How
exactly.
good he is.
I didn't see it coming,
No.
but when she got hit by the glider, I had a feeling that something wasn't right. Because
Yeah.
obviously she was fine for a bit, fine for a bit, fine for a bit, and then she laid down.
Mhm.
And then we didn't see anything. We didn't see any wounds, didn't see any impalements. But I think she might have got hit somewhere lower, like near the lung or kidney or something like that, which
Yeah,
just
probably some
stopped,
serious
shut her
internal
down.
bleeding type bit. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, because
I
obviously she was
mean,
struggling to breathe, wasn't she? So it must have been like lungs probably filled up with blood or something like that. Like,
it was it was also beautiful that she was there with him the whole time to help those people. She had every faith in him to.
mm,
She never judged him for being Spider-Man, did she?
no.
She always cared about him so much that
Mm,
whatever he did should be there because she knew that he was. She
yeah.
knew that she was the only one left for him.
Yeah.
So it was very good scene, very well acted from both of them,
Mm,
and the whole with great responsibility. We knew what was being set up there.
yeah.
So absolutely
Yeah.
bliss. Yeah.
100%. And she shaped him. You know, she's the one that got him to save these villains. And even
Yeah.
though her saying that ended in her death, she was still by the end of it saying, "This is what you're meant to do. Like you've got to save them."
Yeah, she stayed with him the whole time, the
Yeah,
whole
yeah,
film.
and she's still stuck by what she was saying at the start, even though Green Goblin just killed her. She's saying you can still save them, basically. You know, she's saying that you should save them.
Yeah, go,
Uh,
go with his heart.
yeah, very, very well done and superbly
Uh,
acted by both of them for sure.
yeah, I think out of the three movies in terms of Toby, Andrew, and Tom's, I think that was the best scene in terms of death portrayal.
Yes, and how it affected them.
Yes, however, Andrew Garfield is definitely a close second, if not.
Yeah,
He's
he really came
there
through in
with
that.
the Tom scene
Mm.
because what the rest of the film with Andrew is just. This is a spoiler film, right? Yeah, this is.
Yeah, we've already gone too
Now I
far, yeah.
say it. Yeah.
Yeah, they're in
Um,
the movie.
yeah.
Uh,
No, it's just absolutely unbelievable.
yeah. And talking of that, after that segment, we get the best segment in the entire film. The bit where everyone in my cinema lost their fucking minds, including
Mm,
myself.
yeah.
Obviously, Ned is discovering that he's magical because he's got his sling ring, and he's accidentally creating sparks. And they know that shit's gone down. They're seeing it on the news, so they're thinking we need to find Peter.
Yeah.
Ned opens the portal, and you see a figure obviously in an alleyway, and I'm looking, I'm like, hold on a fucking minute, hold on a minute, and then I see the head turn and I see the eyes. Now I'm kind of, you're probably like me, you're quite nerdy with Spider-Man suits.
Yeah.
You see a
You
suit, you know
know.
exactly who it belongs to straight away. I
You
saw the
know.
eyes on the suit, and Andrew's second Spider-Man suit is renowned for having those really big eyes on it, like very
So
distinct. They're
good.
huge. As soon as I saw him, I grabbed Jordan, who I was seeing it with. Jordan, if you're watching this, shout out. But I grabbed Jordan. I said, "That's Andrew fucking Garfield." And he looked at me. He was like, "No fucking way." And I'm like, "I'm fucking telling you, it's Andrew Garfield." And it gets closer, and then he pops through, and everyone in my cinema just started
Shit their
applauding
pants.
and clapping. You know what I mean? And just everyone was like, like you just hear a deep like inhale, and everyone lost their shit. Was yours the same as that? Was everyone just like,
Uh,
holy fuck?
so a bit like you. I was watching. I saw the
Mm.
portal open. I was like, right, okay. So I actually know who that is. And I said to
Yeah.
my friend, I was like, that's Andrew Garfield. He went, no, no, that's just Tom Holland. I was like, wait. And then he turned
No.
around, his eyes showed, and we were like, what the fuck? And then like, people just left and right and behind me were just going, holy shit! Like, and clapping and oh my god and
I
oh
know.
shit.
Like
It was literally poetic and amazing.
yeah, I know. Like usually people, I find shit like that cringe. You know, like people
Yeah,
clapping in the movie theater. Like I
but
remember
when you're a
seeing,
part of it,
yeah, like when I saw
it's so
Endgame,
different.
people clapped and like cheered when Captain America caught Mjolnir, whatever you
Yeah,
fucking call it,
Mona,
and
yeah.
uh,
Midge.
I wasn't yeah fucking Midge and Blanche. I wasn't that excited at the time because I didn't understand why he'd caught it because I was a bit ignorant to it. So I was a bit like, why the fuck is everyone clapping? You know what I mean? It's like when the plane lands and people clap. I was like, this is fucking retarded. But in this, I was one of the ones clapping.
Yeah,
I was cheering. You know?
quite literally.
Yeah, uh, I was just in disbelief. And when I saw it the second time with my dad, uh, he just started like he was like laughing. He just couldn't believe it. Like you know, like a happy laugh. He was just like he could not believe it. What he was seeing. You know.
Yeah.
Um, it's just it's
Uh,
groundbreaking
it
in
was,
my eyes.
man.
It's unbelievable. It's
It,
impossible. This
I
should never
mean,
happen.
we
Should
saw
never
him, but
happen.
then who did we see?
That's the thing. When I saw Andrew, I was like, "Oh my God! Okay, it's Toby next. Like it's only a matter of time. They've got to bring Toby." And then obviously Ned says,
That's not
I
Peter.
guess yeah, I guess we just keep doing it till we find our Peter." And then I'm just looking at Jordan like, "Oh, you know what this fucking means, man. You
Yeah, the
know
way
what
he
this
walked
means."
through.
Yeah. And then
He looked back, he's like, oh.
he's like, "Hi everyone." It's just and seeing Toby again
It felt
after
nice.
all these
It felt
years
right as
was
well.
just. It's just beautiful. He's like an older Spider-Man. You know, obviously he's been Spider-Man for like 20 years.
Yeah.
And they didn't try to bring him through as like a younger one. They brought him through as one that's, been Spider-Man for a long, long
Been a bit
time.
older, yeah. He's had his
Yeah,
time. He said that he was changing as well. Like he's changed as a person, as a Spider-Man. He's got
yeah,
his girlfriend, Mary Jane,
yeah.
still. It's very nice.
He seemed very sort of, what's the word, like modest now.
Yeah,
Like he knows who
like he
he
knew what
is.
he's done.
Yeah, yeah. He seemed very modest now, and just to talk about like Andrew was so charismatic. I think
He
out of the three
was.
actors, he's probably the best.
I agree.
Just based on other stuff I've seen him in. You know, like The Social Network. Have you seen that? Like,
Yeah, he's good in that.
Hacksaw Ridge. He's
I
brilliant
haven't
in
seen
that.
that yet, but I know he
He's
was great.
yeah, great emotional performance in that. Like Andrew is a sensational actor.
Gifted actor,
Yeah,
yeah.
very, very good at bringing the emotional side to things. But he really showed his humor here as well. His humor was
He had great
excellent.
balance.
Yeah, like really, really good balance. And I think Andrew showed here that when he's got good writing, he can do so much better. Um, because he got that balance. His comedy was great, his emotional stuff was great, his serious stuff was great. And that's down to the writing. And then Toby, of course, he just felt like the OG. He felt like his classic self.
Yeah.
And it was an honor to see him again on screen. Something I never thought I'd see because I never saw the original films in the cinema because I was too young. I was only like
Yeah, there's a
6.
literally.
Yeah. So yeah, just
Can only watch them on DVD.
yeah, literally, it's all I've ever seen them on. So it was fantastic to see them both back. Um,
Okay, number three. It's fucking
God,
brilliant.
it was amazing. And then obviously you get the three Peters on stage, on stage, well, like on screen together.
Yeah,
And their
for the
and their
first
first
time.
scene is not because you kind of think their first scene is going to be a really comedic one, but they actually start off with an emotional thing because they're there for him when he needs them.
Yeah, yeah.
And of
To
course
let
we can't.
them, to let him understand, to let Tom's
Yeah,
understand that they've been
yeah,
through it.
yeah. Like when they talk about their losses, and Andrew talks about how he lost Gwen, and that was really sad.
Oh,
And Toby talks about how he
fuck.
lost Uncle Ben.
Yeah.
Um, Sorry, Toby. They've all lost Uncle Ben. You're sort of losing the argument there. But
Yeah, but I guess we see that he lost Uncle Ben, and
yeah, yeah,
then.
we saw that more
But
powerful, didn't we?
Andrew, what the fuck? He lost Uncle Ben and fucking Gwen.
Yeah,
That is
Uncle Gwen,
fucked.
mate. Yeah, it's messed up.
Uncle Gwen. Did I say Uncle Gwen?
No, I did. You didn't
Oh,
say. But yeah, that was good. And obviously, we're talking about three Peters, but obviously, you can't take away from Ned and MJ in this as well, because
Yeah,
throughout the movie they are superb. Zendaya has proven how good an actress she is.
yeah.
Um,
And Jacob Batalon, I thought
yeah,
that
oh, fantastic.
again, his best performance too.
Yeah,
He
brilliant.
he was a good comic relief, but he was also caring and
Yeah,
he gave a shit, you know?
yeah, like that's comedy relief done right, where like he's the
Yeah,
funny guy, but he still knows what's at stake here, and and
still helping him.
that's the thing about his character the whole time. He's always put Peter first, and he's always been a friend to him.
Yeah,
Like,
he's got loyalty to
yeah,
Peter.
like do you remember in Far From Home when Ned starts dating Betty,
Yeah,
and he goes up to Peter at one point. He says, "By the way, I know I've been dating Betty, but I hope you know that takes nothing away from our friendship, and I'm still going to be here for you." And it's just like shit like that. It's like that's a true friend right there. You know what I
yeah,
mean? That's some real shit right there. So that's so awesome. All of these characters, like these five heroes we've got here.
yeah. That bit on the
Um,
rooftop was a needed part.
yeah, very necessary and very well done. So well done.
It
Um,
was.
and then obviously we get the lab scene, which is just comedy gold.
Yeah,
It's so fucking great. Obviously Ned going up to Tobey Maguire and saying, "Do you have a best friend?" He said, "Yeah. He died in my arms after he tried to kill me." And Ned's thinking, "Oh fuck,
yeah.
like is that gonna happen to me?" Um, and
It was the Peter and Zach. Me, him, that Peter.
yeah,
Which Peter?
that was quality as well. Just like the whole.
There's the lab scene was good.
Yes, lab scene was really good. I also liked Toby and Andrew sort of working next to each other because
Yeah,
they're both the outcasts here, and they're becoming
yeah.
friends. And they're oh my God, like the friendship, the little friendship they built up in this short period of time was so adorable.
It was,
You know,
wasn't
it was just so sweet and
it?
so beautiful to see.
It was also cool because it was like the spotlight was still on Tom, but at the same time, those two were still getting the right screen time and right
Mm,
dialogue in to
yeah.
be effective.
Mm,
And
exactly.
with Tom as well, it's like he was the main leader of this in, entire rodeo, and
And
those
Peter
two were like,
won.
"Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, we'll listen to you. We'll do what you say.
Yeah, it's your
We're
universe.
taking
Yeah.
your word for it. You were in a
Yeah.
band, so
Yeah.
um,
I know, it's just yeah. I also love the web shooting bit when they say to Toby, "Where are your web shooters?" And he just shoots it out of his fucking wrist. And they were like, "What the fuck?" They were like, "Is that coming out of you?" You know?
yeah, that was a
That
good.
was
That was a needed scene as well. Like no one
yeah.
really knew whatever that was. It just sort of, and it just
Yeah.
happens.
Like they
What
need
if
to clarify that.
what if Tom's Spider-Man and Andrews could do it, but they just don't know?
I know. Because they never really
You never
tried
know.
it. Yeah.
No, like the first thing Toby did was try it. Like he just when he accidentally did it, he was like, "Wait, what?"
Yeah, because the tray got stuck to him, so he was like, I wonder how I trigger it, and then it works, and you're just like, oh my God. I mean, I'm a big fan of the whole organic web shooter variant, you know, the fact that,
Yeah,
you know, you get bit by a spider, you get the abilities of a spider, surely you should be able to shoot your own webs rather than have to make them in a lab. But, you know, either way, it doesn't bother me that much, you know. But I do like organic webs. Um,
yeah,
but yeah, that scene, everyone was laughing. You know, everyone loved it. My dad really loved it as well. Obviously, his Spider-Man was Tobey Maguire, so was
yeah,
mine. Um, but just all three of them, I loved them all to bits. You know,
yeah, man.
and I was actually surprised at how much I loved Andrew here. Honestly,
Uh, I
I
have to
think,
say, he's the unsung hero of this film. I
yeah,
think.
he was so needed, so needed.
He was, and it's sad because the writing for his films is so poor and misguided and cut up and chopped and just tampered with too much to the point where it didn't become an
About
Andrew
him,
film. It became a film with Andrew in about these other villains that no one really
yeah,
attached to. Electro was good, but he wasn't the good that he was in this film, and
no, no, no,
that's one thing they did well. They paid good homage to Andrew, Jamie, and also Kurt Connors. I forgot his actor's name, but
Yeah.
they did a really good job of getting those three the screen time and the dialogue, and
Hmm.
actually making them feel like they've always been in the Spider-Man world, always been
Yes.
Spider-Man. You know?
Hmm. Yeah. It's the crazy thing. They gave all these characters, well, but apart from like like Toby, of course, because he was done properly in his films. But
Yeah.
the people from Andrew's films, like they gave them all so much more emotional depth in their short time in this movie than they did in their actual films, um, which I think says it all. You know.
Yeah.
Um,
I think we always knew that Andrew was the emotional Spider-Man, which is a good thing because we need to see that.
yeah, and he's also kind of goofy as well, which like he was in the
Yeah.
films. You know what I mean? And he, uh, and, and that's the thing. Like you worry obviously when they bring in these two other Spider-Men if they're gonna write them like an MCU character. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
But
Yeah.
they kept them exactly how they were. Like Toby was not really cracking jokes. He was being modest, like he always was
Yeah.
in his films.
He's,
Andrew,
he's still kind of funny as well.
yeah, and Andrew was still being sort of goofy and emotional, like he was in his movies. Like it really felt like they brought them through, and the same people were directing them in a sense. You know what I mean? Or like
Yeah.
writing for them. Um, so that was good. It stayed true to them. Like it, because if Tobey Maguire had come through and started saying all these fucking MCU jokes, you would have been like, well, that doesn't feel genuine. You know what I mean? Um, so they did them right here.
They really did.
Mm. Obviously, before the final battle, this sort of continues between the three of them. You know, the moments between Andrew and Toby were very special because they were, before Tom. They were the two we knew before. And it was great to see him suited up again. I love the Raimi suit. It's probably my favorite Spider-Man suit still. So like,
Yeah, I have to agree.
yeah, so seeing that again on screen
Unfortunately, I
was
think it actually
amazing.
goes in order.
Yes,
So it'd go Toby, Andrew, and then Tom's. I love
yeah,
Tom's. Tom
yeah,
has a lot of them, so it's hard to pick a favourite
yeah.
with Tom. But
But
I think Andrew's, the way that it looked, the colours, the big eyes. Yeah, I think it's a better suit than Tom's personally.
it's a great classic suit, isn't it? It's like a comic accurate suit. But there's
Yeah, with the
something,
big eyes.
but there's something about Toby's suit, like the mask, the way the
Yeah,
eyes look. It almost makes him look a bit sinister. I feel like that suit. Do you know what I mean?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like it makes him look like and like the webbing on the suit, the way it's sort of like printed, like it's thick. You know what I mean? It's like it got a texture to it rather than being completely smooth. Um, and it was
It's
great. And
iconic, isn't it?
yeah,
It's
it really is. And just some moments again between Toby and Andrew, like Andrew cracking Toby's back, which is a cool reference because you know how Toby's always hurting his back in the movies, like when he falls on the cars because his web
yeah,
doesn't shoot, and he's like, "Oh my back," and like they both. It's just the fact that they can all relate to each other. Um, but obviously we were all, even though we were very confident that these three would be in the movie, or like we were really hopeful,
mm.
you're still sort of doubting that they're going to be in it, right? Because even when I was watching, I was like, are they actually going to bring them back? Because at no point did they tease like they were going to be in it. When you're watching the movie, it felt like it could have gone all the way without them.
I
Do you know what I mean?
think
Like it brings the
there was that
villains, but
one bit. There was that one bit with May when she said, "Great power means great responsibility." I
mm,
think that was the part for me when I knew they were coming, personally.
yeah,
But yeah,
yeah. I also want to say as well, um, when Peter webs Norman in the apartment because his spider sense is going off.
yeah.
I was almost wondering if that was like a telepathic thing where he was getting a sense from Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. Like their senses were almost pinging
Oh,
to each other. And
do you know
because
what?
Tobey knows that
Yeah,
Goblin is evil, it's like Spider-Man sensed that Tobey sensed that Goblin was evil and he couldn't be trusted because Tobey's fought him before. And he knows that he lies. Tobey knows that Goblin's a serial liar, you know.
yeah. I've never thought about that. And
And I,
because obviously when Maguire arrived, he said, "I had this feeling that you needed help."
yeah,
Holy shit!
yeah. So I'm thinking that Toby's sense almost hit Tom And that's why it was so amplified, and he almost zoned out for a second. He was like, I have this feeling that I can't trust Norman. And I think it was Toby's, you know?
Holy shit! Yeah, you're so right.
Just a theory, but it would
No,
make
that's a good
sense.
one, bro.
It makes
That's a good
sense,
one.
Thank you.
Because obviously they're all like linked. They're all the same people,
Yeah,
basically.
because they all felt that Tom needed help, so they must be
Yeah.
linked somehow. Yeah,
Crazy. Nice.
yeah. I know it's fucking just a wild thing. And then obviously we get to our final battle, which was brilliantly choreographed. When they
Yep.
all swing through together, and then
Ah.
they land on the platform together, and you've got Tom, you've got Toby to the left, Andrew to the right. Oh,
It's actually the bit leading up. It's them running through the scaffolding, and they all jump
oh,
off at the same time. Oh my!
oh,
And then the best bit
oh,
was when Toby's kicking the fucking lizard in the head, and he's like, guys!" He's kicking him in the head. It's so funny.
oh God! It's just one of the best things I've ever seen on screen in my
Yeah.
life. It
Oh
is
yeah.
fantastic.
That's
But like,
that's
yeah,
that's up there.
you're spot on. They're all running, and you just jump off, and you think, "Oh my God, it's actually happening!" And you already know because it's MCU, you're gonna get one of those cool slow mos or something, where they all
Yeah.
land next to each other. But even so,
You knew
when
it
it
was coming.
happens, that's better than anything they've ever done.
I cheered.
Yeah,
I was like, holy shit! Literally like that.
that's better than the Endgame thing when they all come through the portals. That was
Ah,
cool as well. That was
it's
cool,
on
but
par.
this is fucking wow.
Yeah, man. It was something that
Yeah,
just the whole scaffold bit where they're making the plan as well. So funny. The
yeah,
chemistry between those three as well was another thing that was just
yeah,
fucking God.
yeah,
You can't write it. You can't. You
yeah.
literally can't.
No, and like Tom saying, "So what are the craziest villains you guys have fought?" Which is
Yeah.
such a
What
cool
did
thing. Like
what did
it's something.
Ladyboy say?
Yeah, well,
Did he said a
Toby
weird thing.
said, "Oh, well, I once fought this alien that was made out of black goo." So obviously he's talking about
Yeah,
Venom from
Venom.
Spider-Man 3, uh,
Yeah.
which is such a cool reference. And then Tom's like, "Oh, I fought an alien once, on Earth and in space, big purple guy," and everyone's like, "Oh, really?"
Yeah.
Oh man, it's just, ugh, such an incredible finale to a film.
It
Just,
was, man. And what's the next part you got to talk about? Surely it's got to be the Goblin bit, right?
oh yeah, I mean.
Or was there bits in between?
There's
What's
some bits in between still, yeah.
Go on,
Let's
bring them
crack
on.
on. They're taking the villains down, obviously one by one. They're saving them. They're redeeming them. Really
Yeah.
cool. And then we get probably the bit where I came closest to crying. The best emotional
Yeah.
moment in the entire movie, which is when
Yeah.
MJ falls off the scaffolding. Tom
Oh
can't
man,
save her because Goblin gets in the way, and then it pans to Andrew,
he
and you see him
spots her.
dive off, and you just know he's gonna like almost redeem it. Like it's not like he had to redeem himself, but he does for
It's
himself
for him.
personally. Yeah, it's for him.
Yeah.
Um, and he
Because
catches her and he saves
fuck's
her,
sake. Yeah.
and then he starts crying, and I'm just like,
That,
oh Jesus Christ, I'm gonna go here.
yeah.
Like I'm,
That
I'm on
was
the
the
fucking,
closest point
I'm
for
on the
me. I'm
verge.
not gonna
Yeah,
lie.
like I could feel myself tearing up a bit. I was really on the
I
verge.
had them in my eyes. I just
Yeah,
managed to not drop
hold
them.
it back. Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
but then MJ says, "Are you all right?" And I'm just like, "Oh, for fuck's sake!"
No, you know he ain't.
Yeah, and
That
then
boy is
Andrew's
not
just like,
alright.
yeah, and then Andrew's just like, "Yeah, yeah, I'm fine." It's just exceptional, exceptional acting from Andrew Garfield again.
It is. I get. You know what, as well. Like, I'm actually kind of gutted that we won't get to see Andrew or Toby ever again in a Spider-Man film. Like
Yeah,
that is
well,
gutting. They were so good.
they were phenomenal, phenomenal.
Oh man.
Um,
And then Ned, of course, with the fucking cloak. What the
I
fuck?
know that's fucking
That
crazy.
was
That's a
sick.
very cool twist.
What did bother me is that no one tried to save him though.
Fuck
I
your
was
fat
like,
ass, Ned.
fuck off, Ned, you fat ass bitch. That's what
Yeah, we'll just
But
get
yeah,
MJ, man.
yeah, we'll
uh,
just get the fit one. They
yeah,
all want a piece of
literally.
that
Yeah,
pie.
we want
Uh-huh.
Zendaya. But
They
fucking,
want the piece of that pie, huh?
I love the fact that Doc Ock was good here. Like, when he comes up and then he
Hmm.
grabs both the Spider-Men, and obviously when he grabs Toby, it's just like the scene from Spider-Man 2 when he's got him like on a headlock
Yeah.
with the tentacles.
Yeah.
And then he grabs
Dude.
Electro, and then drops them both, and it's just like, what a beautiful moment. Um,
Ah, God. Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny
beautiful
because
moment.
obviously earlier in the film we saw Doc Ock do the same thing to Peter, Tom's. Sorry.
Yeah, the same headlock. Yeah,
Yeah. So it's like the whole time the film was going, it was sort of saying, yeah, Toby's coming, Toby's coming,
yeah.
Toby's
You're not
coming.
Peter Parker.
You're not
Oh,
Peter Parker. As
oh
soon as you heard
God.
that, you know, you
So
just know
many,
he's coming.
so many great lines. So many great lines.
There really is, man.
And then, of course, finally, Strange comes back. He's been dangling over the Grand Canyon for 12 hours, if you didn't know. And then the fucking one of the Spider-Men has the audacity to say to him, "Why
You could
you're
have
in the
helped him.
Grand Canyon for 12 hours? Why don't you come sooner?"
Yeah.
Strange just
Yeah, it was
looks at him
Andrew,
like,
wasn't it?
"Bitch, what?" Yeah. He just looks at him like, "How fucking dare you?" Um,
And then the bit with the box, just a little bit after
yeah,
that, right?
yeah, because
Oh,
obviously,
what about
Strange comes back. Sorry, carry on.
the bit with where Toby sees Doc Ock again?
Yeah,
Hello, my dear boy.
yeah.
Did we say that?
Yeah, no, I'm gonna get to
Yeah, I
that in a
got to
minute. To
mention.
be fair,
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
but yeah, obviously Strange comes back and he's about to
Yeah,
pull the trigger. Essentially, he's gonna press the button
yeah,
on the box, but he sees actually what Spider-Man's doing, and he
yeah.
thinks to himself for a moment, "Wow, like this kid
He's
is
impressed.
something else. Like he's actually saving them." And I think the reason Strange then stops for a moment is his whole career before he was Doctor Strange was saving people. He was a surgeon.
Yeah,
And he sees that in Spider-Man. Spider-Man is almost like, completing surgery on these villains. He's saving them from their demise, from certain death. And that's what stops Strange from being rash and pulling the trigger, because
maybe.
he thinks to himself, you know.
Yeah, I think Strange in that moment thought to himself like, what am I doing wrong? You
Yes.
know, what if I
What
was
have I
just going to
become?
send them all home to let
Yeah.
them die?
Yeah.
You're a superhero. That's your that is your job. But I like
Mm.
that Strange has always been a bit rogue, a bit. He's sort of, almost like Batman. Like he
Independent.
just
Mm.
yeah, he doesn't give a shit. Like if people have to die in order for him to survive and be better, then he doesn't care. Like
Mm.
when he was facing Dormammu and he offered Mads Mikkelsen's character, he didn't care. It was effortless. He
No.
was just like, yeah, Dormammu, I've
Yeah.
come to bargain. Take him. I'm fucking off, and you can have him.
What a
And
great
it
scene.
worked. Yeah, literally,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
But no, yeah, you're right.
exactly that. Yeah, Strange sees that Peter will save, well, Tom's Peter, to clarify. He will
Yeah.
save even the most twisted and evil of the villains.
E-
This is something
Yeah.
Strange wouldn't have done.
Even after
Um,
Goblin killed May, and do you know what else
yeah,
as well?
mm,
Strange didn't know that May died. He hasn't. He didn't know.
he still didn't know.
He still
No,
didn't know, and
so
he
that
and he
adds
doesn't know now because he's
no,
forgotten.
and that adds everything to it. Because if he'd known that as well,
Yeah.
he would have been like, "Holy shit, this guy."
Yeah. And that's he just let Tom's Peter just carry on, just
Yeah, exactly that.
even without knowing that May passed.
Mm. I know that's why it was so impactful. I think. Yeah, it was a very very good character moment that showed, it's a different perspective for Strange finally. And then coming to what you just said, the whole Toby and
Yeah.
Ox scene. Obviously, we get really nice moments between Andrew and Electro.
Yeah, that was
Where
nice.
he's like Max, and
Yeah.
Jamie
It's okay, I'm
Foxx.
all burnt
Electro
out.
says, yeah, he says like, "Oh, I'm a nobody again," and Andrew's like, "You were never a nobody." It's just that was really nice to see, and it's
Yeah.
quite funny as well when Electro says, "Oh yeah, you save all these people, you help out poor people. I was hoping you'd be black," which is
Yeah.
that was brilliant. And then he says, "Oh, maybe there's a black Spider-Man out there somewhere," and you think, "Oh my God,
There
fucking
it is.
Miles Morales ass."
Yeah, man.
That was great. And then Toby and Sandman. Toby saves him. He says, "Don't worry, I'm going to get you home," because Flint, in the end, wasn't a villain. By Spider-Man
No.
3.
Yeah.
Um, so he did get saved. He sort of
Yeah.
redeemed himself, and he says,
He just got
Spider-Man forgives him for killing Uncle Ben.
exactly, and he got well. He didn't kill Uncle Ben, did he?
Flint did. Sandman did. in
Oh
the
yeah,
end.
he did, of course.
Yeah, because you find out in Spider-Man 3 that it was actually Flint Marko that
Yeah,
did
for
it.
some reason I seem to forget that.
Yeah, but can we also talk about how the fucking Flint Marko hasn't aged like a day in 14 years? What the fuck
Obviously,
was that?
the CGI stuff, but
Yeah, yeah, but I
if
mean,
he's from the
it's
same time
incredible.
that Toby was, and Toby's age, and we know, what the fuck?
Fuck yeah, because
Flint
obviously,
fell straight out of that building and
yeah,
fucking and
I
came
know,
here.
because that's the only thing with Sandman. He's the only villain out of the five that didn't die or we didn't see die.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? But either way, it was great to have Sandman in. I thought he was fantastic once again.
yeah.
I
That
can't remember the
voice, that
actor's
rugged
name.
voice.
Yeah, I think it's Thomas Hayden Church or something like that. I
That's
can't
the
remember.
one. And then when he was when we first saw him, he was like, "Peter, how can I help?"
Oh
That
my
was
god,
fucking
that was
cool, man.
fucking badass. Because did you notice as well before? Did you see the sand moving before he
Yeah, in
showed
the
up?
background.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because I remember going to
real
Jordan.
cool.
I was like, "That's fucking Sandman."
Because my
Yeah.
friend said I just missed it. I don't know what I was doing. I was looking at something and I just missed it. And
You
fucking
were
he
looking
said,
at the dude
"Did you see
eating
that?"
popcorn too loud.
No, I was looking at the guy moving his leg on the chair, and it's fucking pissing me off. And I missed it. He was like, "Did you see that?" I was like, "No." He was like, "Sandman." I was like, "What?"
Fuck.
And then all I saw was this big fucking gush of sand pop up and go, "Hey Peter, how can I help? It's Flint Marko."
Oh my
Cool
god.
as fuck.
Flint Marko, you remember me? Oh,
So
that's the
cool.
point. He says, "Do you remember me?" So it must have been a minute. Maybe that is old
Yeah,
Flint Marko. Maybe that's Flint Marko at the same time as current Toby, because he said, "Do you remember
yeah,
me?" I mean, how
yeah,
could you
man.
forget a man made of fucking sand? I'm not gonna lie, but yeah,
Yeah, literally.
you
How
know,
do you even?
uh, but yeah, and then Toby and Doc Ock's moment. Mm,
God damn it!
Peter Parker, it's
One
so
of the
good to
best,
see you, my dear boy. Like,
one of
oh,
the best parts in the film.
oh, and then they play the original Toby Maguire music. Fuck.
Yeah, man. There's not even a lot you can say about that scene. It's just
Yeah,
everything you want.
everything was
But
perfect, and
yeah,
Doc Ock says, "How are you doing?" And then Toby says, "I'm trying to do better," which is obviously what he says in Spider-Man 2. Like all these callbacks, it's
yeah.
just so nostalgic, and I loved it.
That reminds me. There's a bit when Goblin was in a jail cell and he goes, "Well, I'm a bit of a scientist myself." That was
Man,
fucking gold. Everyone was clapping and cheering as well
yeah,
for that.
yeah,
They
yeah.
were laughing.
We were all hoping he would say that. He's either got to say that or he's got to say back to formula. Like he's got to say one of the back to formula.
You can't do this to me.
But yeah, when he said,
Bloody
"I'm
love it.
something of a scientist myself," even my dad was laughing. He remembered that shit. You know what I
Yeah, so funny.
mean? Yeah, that was brilliant. Like all the old dialogue.
Yeah.
Maybe the villains from Andrew Garfield's universe said old lines, but for the life of me, I don't remember because I tried to shut those movies out of my memory. Uh,
No offense to Andrew
no, it's
or
not on
James.
you. It's not on the actors. It's really not.
No,
Those movies
no.
just sucked. But either way, they had good moments. They had fun moments, but either way. Then of course we get to our showdown. Tom's showdown with Norman. It's cool that Tom finally showed like a rageful side to himself, angry,
Yeah,
very,
showed he had it in him. That's what Goblin
yeah,
wanted.
really sinister side. And yeah, oh god, Goblin's smile, so evil. I love it.
Yeah, man,
Uh,
it was piercing.
yes, his laugh. He had still had the same cackle that he had
Yeah,
before. Um,
66 years old and he done all his own stunts.
ah,
Gotta fucking
he is
just
something
take her
else.
out.
He's incredible.
Gotta
I kind
take
of
her out.
liked his new Hobgoblin look as well. Like he still had his
Yeah,
green suit on, just minus the mask.
I actually really
Uh,
liked that he lost the mask because we got to see his facial expressions more
yes,
and how he actually acts, not
yeah, I
just
think
hidden behind that,
yeah,
that mask.
I
And he
think that was
smashed it himself, which is cool.
yeah, I think that was crucial that we got to see his face and whatnot. And obviously
Yeah,
that line as well from the trailer and that we get about halfway through the movie that you really liked. Of course, you're struggling to have everything you want in a world that's trying to make you choose or something,
yeah,
something along those lines. It's
yeah.
great. God, they had some really
You're
iconic lines of
struggling.
dialogue here.
Oh god, yeah.
Peter, yeah, it's just
You are struggling to have everything you want. Yeah,
brilliant.
it is.
Just and then Toby
Defoe,
saving
10
him.
out of 10.
Oh, Toby saving him.
Oh yeah, and then he gets fucking
Nanked.
he gets unnecessarily nanked by Goblin, and he's like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
that hurts."
Turns out Tobey Maguire got transported to Fishermead midway through the battle. Like,
when Strange sent them all home, he actually went to Neverfield.
Oh shit, I'm in Coffee Hall.
Across the coffee. Yeah, he went there. Okay, that
Oh
derailed.
fuck,
No, yeah.
Jesus, yeah. But yeah, I mean, the way he was holding the glider and stopping it almost reminded me of Spider-Man 2. You know when he's holding up the platform
Mm.
from falling on Mary Jane, and
Yeah,
he's
of
like, "This is
course.
really heavy." Like it was kind of like the same sort of vibe.
Yeah.
And then
He found
Tom
his
just,
strength there.
yeah, Tom just sort of looked in his eyes and he was like, "Yeah, this isn't the right thing." Like he's remembering that Toby said to him that when Toby killed the man he thought killed Uncle Ben, it didn't make anything better.
No,
Um,
because he didn't kill Uncle Ben. He didn't mean to kill
yeah,
that guy.
yeah, which was a beautiful moment. And yeah, they nanked him, and I thought, fuck me, do not kill Tobey Maguire for the love of God. Like
No,
that's not what
it
we're
wouldn't
doing
work.
here. No, but they didn't. He's fine. Like he's because you could see it didn't go through all the way through him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he just said. He said as well, like, yeah,
I've been
that hurt.
I've been stabbed before, so it's fine. But obviously it wasn't that killer because you saw that Tom Holland actually broke Goblin's wrist blade whilst they were fighting.
Yeah,
He kicked most of it off or punched most of it off, so there was only a tiny bit of blade still, like to actually hurt Toby. So luckily he's still alive. Thank
yeah,
goodness.
man.
Um, Obviously Goblin cured in the end, but
Yeah,
ultimately he's fucked up the box. I can't remember what the box is called, but he's fucked it up because he put a grenade in there.
yeah,
Um,
that was cool.
and that has caused the multiverse to break open, which was so cool to see. Such a dope like effect and scene. You're thinking, holy shit! And I was thinking at this point that the movie is going to end catastrophically. That they
Yeah,
are not going to be able to fix this, and that all these things are going to come through, and people are going to be lost in different universes. That's what I'm assuming is going to happen. I take it you were thinking that as well. Like we're gonna have some batshit crazy fucking ending, you know?
yeah. I thought this would set up Strange,
Yes,
which it does, but
but not in the
I
sense.
thought that everything would fold in on itself and they'd get
Yeah,
teleported and just shoved in different places. But
yeah,
I
yeah,
like the
exactly.
ending.
Yeah. Like you say, I thought it was gonna end badly, and that Multiverse of Madness was to do with Strange trying to fix the mess and get everything back to normal. But obviously,
Yeah,
that's not what happens. Peter makes a huge sacrifice. He
the
says
biggest.
the biggest. He says it's as good as dying.
Yeah,
If anything, it's worse because he's now going to live, and no one knows who he is. He's got no friends. He's got no
he's
family
got
more.
no way home.
Yeah, he's got no way home.
Little
Poetic.
Tiff.
Yeah, and he makes the biggest sacrifice, of course, because everyone is going to forget who he is. His best friend Ned, his girlfriend MJ, and Strange himself. And Happy. It's almost a blessing that May wasn't around to see it
Yeah,
because that would
follow
have
me,
been really.
Stephen.
Yeah, that would have been. I was literally just about to get to that. Because Strange is realizing the sacrifice. Because even though the multiverse is about to collapse in on itself, Peter says, "Do a spell that makes everyone forget who Peter Parker is." And Strange realizes that this is the way to fix the problem, right?
Yeah,
He knows this is going to fix it, but he still says to Peter, "Are you sure?" He's still giving him a choice, despite the
the
ramifications and the
consequence.
consequence of it.
Yeah,
He's still saying, "Are you sure?" Because he finally realizes the sacrifice that Spider-Man is making, uh, which is just beautiful, you
it
know,
was.
absolutely. And yeah, like you say, call me Steven. Wow, what a
Yeah,
moment! What a
I
moment!
think we're past you calling me
We saved half the
Doctor
universe
Strange.
together. uh, yeah, a lovely moment. Probably one of my favorite lines in the movie when the last time he says, "Call me Steven."
There's too
Uh,
many good lines.
oh
There's
God,
literally too many, but
I
that
could.
is one of them.
Yeah, that's probably one that stuck with me the most. I would say.
Yeah,
Call me Steven. I thought that was really, and we've got to say Benedict Cumberbatch was phenomenal once
again.
again. He is so good as Doctor Strange. Perfect casting. There's some casting you say maybe someone else could have played that. Not Doctor
Yeah,
Strange. Not Doctor Strange. No one
no
on
way.
this earth could play Doctor Strange apart from Benedict. Um,
It's perfect. His voice is
yeah, his
yeah,
accent's
just
really good
everything.
for a Brit. Like, what a brilliant American accent. He sounds American.
Yeah, Spider-Man.
I know. Just
When he
just
says that, it's
sensational.
kind of funny.
Yeah. And then we get to a sad bit. Peter says goodbye to the Spideys, which, oh god, so fucking wholesome, so
Yeah,
beautiful. And I love the fact that Andrew was holding up Toby the whole time. It's like he sees him as a father figure because he's
yeah,
the OG.
yeah, man.
And obviously, these two actors must respect Toby so massively in real life. Like, they must love him to pieces.
Oh, of course.
But the fact they hold him up, Andrew's just holding him up, I was just like, oh, so
You got to
fucking
remember as
adorable.
well. Tom and Andrew grew up wearing, they grew up wearing the Spider-Man outfit from
From the
Toby's
movies,
films.
yeah. Hmm.
So it's literally the most amazing thing.
Yeah, and that was a touching moment. It wasn't so much heartbreaking or anything, that bit in particular, but it was very touching and sweet and really nice to see. But the bit that was actually, heartbreaking was his goodbye to Ned and MJ.
Yeah, that
Which,
felt me up different.
like, when you realise what's going to happen, it is really, really sad. Um, and these supporting characters have been just exceptional,
Yeah.
for.
There was never a dull moment with them characters either. I don't think any of them were cringy. I don't think any of them were forced
No,
or had rubbish moments in the films. Or they're well
no,
acted, well executed, and this was the perfect goodbye to characters we're still going to see, but the perfect
yeah,
goodbye
yeah,
for Tom Holland's
yeah,
Spider-Man.
yeah, yeah, for this trilogy, absolutely. And I've got to say their evolution is really, really good throughout the saga, especially MJ's. Like
Yeah,
from in Homecoming, she's sort of this girl that's just like sarky, and she's a good character in that. Like she's funny because she's kind of
yeah,
sarky and she doesn't really give a shit. And then obviously, Far From Home, she starts to sort of soften up a bit. Um, and you could see she starts to have a thing for Peter. And then obviously in this, they're like a full-fledged couple, and I really like their relationship. It actually feels very genuine, and that's not just down to the
mm,
fact that they're dating in real life, but in this, it's so well acted and written that it feels like a genuine couple. And
yeah,
it's like it's cute. It's a cute relationship. Like it doesn't feel bullshit. It feels like an actual relationship.
yeah. Us Brits know how to date. That's why. I mean, we
Mm.
don't.
Nah, we don't know about that. The hell's a girl? But anyway. But yeah, obviously he says, MJ's tearing up. She's like, you better find me, otherwise I'm just gonna figure it out all over again anyway. But he says
Yeah,
he'll
I
he
love
says
that.
he'll find them and make them remember, which is a perfect end to a perfect movie, pretty much.
Yeah,
Obviously, we get a little bit after this. The spell is complete, and Peter sort of restarts his life again.
yeah.
Uh,
Moves into his
Spider,
apartment.
yeah, like Spider-Man is known, but Peter isn't. And that apartment to me reminded me, like I think you said as well, like the one from the game.
Yeah,
It really gave me
yeah.
it really gave me the same vibe.
Or even Toby's apartment.
Yeah,
Fix this damn door.
I thought maybe the guy would say that, but it probably wasn't the
Oh,
time or the place. They'll probably do that in the next movie.
I hope so.
But yeah, that was a nice. But that was cool to see. And then the funeral, not the funeral, the graveyard.
Yeah,
I'd
it's
actually
happy.
I'd actually forgotten for a sec. When Happy stood up next to him,
Hmm.
I thought he was going to be like, "Hey, Peter." Like I'd
Yeah, me
forgotten.
too. I had a weird feeling.
Yeah, like I'd completely forgotten that actually no one knows who the fuck this kid is. And then Happy goes, "Oh, so how'd you know her?" And they both say through Spider-Man. Uh, that was just really sweet. And then Tom says, "You take care of yourself." And Happy says, "Yeah, nice to meet you." And it's just like that's just so adorable, so
Yeah,
adorable.
man. It was
Uh,
sad, but it was great.
really good. Uh, so that's interesting because Happy says he knows May through Spider-Man, but the only reason he would know May through Spider-Man is because Spider-Man is related to May. But he no longer
Yeah,
knows that, so it's almost like he's not sure how he knows May. Happy. He just
yeah,
sort of has this idea that he knows her, but he's not completely sure why. It's interesting to see how people have forgotten in a sense. Uh,
yeah,
and then yeah, we get the cafe scene.
yeah.
What did you make of that?
I think it was perfect.
Mm,
With the headband thing when she said it doesn't hurt anymore, I
mm,
thought that was a very, very good bit of dialogue, but it actually is good for Tom in the sense that none of the stuff that he was hurting on the inside or having issues with, it's not hurting
mm,
him anymore either.
yeah.
He's fixed everything that he messed up. He's fixed everything that Strange ruined. He's been selfless. He that was the dialogue that I think solidified Tom's Spider-Man to be the Spider-Man
Hmm.
for me.
Yeah.
And seeing Ned, of course, was
Yeah, I
yeah,
think you're
very
100%
good.
right. I think, yeah,
Yeah,
you're spot on there. I think, obviously, you know how he had his speech sort of ready on the card to go
he
in and
didn't
just tell her
use.
everything.
Yeah, man,
Um, but he just sort of sees her. He sees that she's happy. He sees that she's stress free. Um,
he leaves
and
her.
yeah, and he almost wants to build it naturally, I think, as well. Like he wants to build it in a sense of like, I'm not just going to tell her all this shit because if anything, that'll freak her out. And you can't make someone fall in love with you just by telling them something real quick. You know,
Yeah,
he needs to build it up again naturally. Like he finishes her sentence for her, she's a bit like, oh, you know, like if you expect disappointment, you'll never be disappointed. Um, those are
well,
words
she
I live
says that.
by. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna lie.
Oh yeah, absolutely. She's bang on
um,
the money.
yeah, and like you say, when he saw the little head, plaster, I
Yeah,
think he was considering just before that to actually tell her, and he saw that and he thought, even though
it
it
was a
wasn't like
reminder.
yeah, it's not like she got seriously injured, but he saw that and he thought she got hurt because she knew who I was. So
Yeah,
maybe I'm not going to tell her yet. Maybe I'm going to take a moment, um, and it's like, because she's safe at the moment. She's not at risk. Um, but I don't think he's going to leave her be. I hope to God he doesn't. I think one day they will get they will get back to how they were. And with this Doctor Strange movie, you never know. The memory might come back. You know, anything could happen. And
yeah, man.
um, I think they know that as an audience, we never want to see Tom Holland be dating anyone else in this movie
Oh,
franchise,
fuck off! That
apart
happens.
from Zendaya's MJ. So I think, you know, they're still going to be in these movies. Zendaya
Yeah, of
and,
course,
well,
absolutely.
MJ and Ned. So they will
Maybe,
resolve that. But it was a beautiful and poetic and tragic ending. But it was
maybe
really
it's that
nice at
they
the
go
same time.
to. Yeah, exactly. Maybe it's that they go to the same college, uni together, and they meet each other
Yeah,
properly, and then just
they build it.
rekindle that sort of.
Yeah, they
And
build it
then,
again.
yeah, well, hopefully you hope so, but there'll be things that go wrong there. I think.
Yeah, yeah. And then, yeah, obviously, like we said, Peter gets his own place and he dons a new outfit which looks like it's inspired by the two Spider-Men he met. You know, he's gone for the
Yeah,
classic red and blue. I think that suit looks bloody amazing.
yeah. It
That
almost had
might,
this Christmassy look, didn't
yeah,
it?
like,
Like glossy,
yeah.
very in your face. It was
But
nice though.
that looks like the best suit
Phase
out of the
one.
ones he's had so far. And I
Yeah,
hope that becomes his main suit that he dons because I didn't mind the one he had now, I like the black and red, but black and red, blue and red look so much better. Um,
everyone knows Spider-Man's blue and red. The black and
yeah,
red was for Iron
yeah,
Man. Like,
yeah.
but yeah,
But yeah, the blue and red looks brilliant. And
yeah,
then
absolutely.
the movie, the movie ends there until we get to credit sequences, of course. But I just want to say that ending was great, emotional, and it was sad, but it was fulfilling
Yeah,
and a brilliant end to an exceptional movie.
it was a fan
Uh,
service. This film.
it was, but it wasn't just fan service and nothing else. It wasn't
No,
just like, yeah, here's some cameos, but they don't make much sense, or the story isn't that
entire
good to go
film.
with it. It was a brilliant story that was also doing the best fan service I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
Uh, Now, first credit scene.
God.
What have you got to say about this? Because I thought that was brilliant.
Do you know what? I've got to be just. This is being honest. This entire time,
Mm,
I thought it was too easy.
mm,
I thought that, Venom. He's been flashed into the MCU. Someone's explaining to him what's happened. All
yeah,
the heroes that are on Earth, and he's sitting there getting drunk, listening, taking it in, not getting it, getting confused, and then as soon as the spell happens, he goes back to the Sonyverse and he leaves
Yeah.
a tiny bit of symbiote, which is very cool. Don't get me
Yes.
wrong, but that means that there's going to be, two Venoms running alongside each other with Venom 3 and the symbiote in the next Spider-Man film, the Spider-Man 4. So it
Yeah.
was cool. It was very cool, but I personally do think it was a bit easy,
Bit cheap.
a bit cheap.
Nah.
Yeah, I would have preferred it if they kept Eddie Brock in
Yeah.
the Spider-Man.
Here's the thing. I totally hear what you're saying, but here's the thing for me. You and me, we don't like the Venom movies that much, alright?
No, the
I think
first one was okay. The second one was
Yeah. Dog shit.
fucking woeful.
Um,
Seriously, one of the worst films I've seen.
yeah, it was very poor. And obviously at the end of Venom 2, Let There Be Carnage.
Let there be dog shit. Yeah.
Yeah. Let there be fucking an awful review for this movie. Um, he gets brought into the Spider-Man MCU universe.
Yeah.
And
Promising.
me and you, we were like, oh, for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
Is he gonna be in bloody No Way Home? Because I don't really want to see him.
No.
And
Thank God he weren't.
and obviously in this credit scene, he was in it, and I'm thinking, okay, how are they gonna play this? Like he's not gonna get sucked back in or something? But for me, like you say, I know what you mean. It feels a bit quick, a bit cheap. It's an easy way to get a symbiote in here. But I think it was done the best way they really could have.
Yeah.
Because I think they've honestly executed it perfectly because they brought a character into this that I love the villain Venom, but I hate this portrayal they've done. I think it's pretty poor. And it's not down to Tom Hardy because we know how good of an actor he is. But it's too goofy. He's meant to be a really evil
Sony.
alien. He's meant to be a horror alien, yeah, and it's fucking Sony as well. But once again, I love the fact they left a little bit, and because it's the symbiote,
Could happen
because
to anything.
because it was attached to Eddie Brock, and Eddie Brock is curious about talking to Spider-Man, as in Peter Parker. That's what made it. That's why it makes sense because even though it's just a tiny bit of symbiote, it's going to go to New York, and it's going to try and find Spider-Man. And it's going to find Spider-Man, and finally we're going to see Tom Holland in a symbiote suit.
I'm actually sort of hoping for a Harry Osborn Venom, like the game, second game's showing
Yeah.
up.
Oh
if we
man.
see that, then
Yeah. Well, I mean, it
It's a
could
wrap.
go on anyone. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm wondering
listen.
if they'll put it on. I don't know if you know, but in the comics, in one of the things, it doesn't go on Eddie Brock; it goes on Flash,
Yeah, I have seen that. Yeah,
the bully, obviously.
that also would make sense.
So I think that would actually, I wouldn't be mad at that. Obviously, the Flash in these movies is kind of goofy.
Yeah, he kind of doesn't like Peter in a way, does he? He
Yeah,
just
yeah,
cares more about his image, and
yeah.
he's a bit like Eddie Brock, isn't he? The Flash, the Flash, Flash.
Yeah. But I think the
Not Barry
symbiote,
Allen.
yeah, bloody fucking Basil Brush, yeah. I think the symbiote could actually suit being on Flash. I really do.
Lily
Yeah,
Allen. Yeah.
yeah.
I can see that being a thing.
Fucking yeah. I'm down for it. I'm down for whatever they do. I'm sure they'll do it right.
Yeah, man.
I think that's really cool. And then,
Yeah.
sorry, complete sentence. It's fine.
Are we going to talk about
Oh yeah.
very ending?
That's
Yeah?
what I was about to say. The second credit scene, of course, which
Okay.
is they've never done this before, where they've showed an exclusive look at a trailer in
Yeah. So cool.
in a credit scene. Because obviously it's still not on YouTube or anything. This this
No.
trailer, but I love the fact that they put that here as the second credit scene because we all know what comes next after this. And it's a first look at Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, being directed by the one and only Sam Raimi. And it's the fact that Doctor Strange's actions have had consequences here.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I'm tripping, but did you hear Kang's voice in this trailer?
Was he the part where he said the most dangerous person in the universe is you? Is that him?
I don't know. I feel like I heard it earlier on as well, possibly. But I can't say for sure. But I thought
I
maybe
can't really
that was
remember
him.
now.
Yeah, I need to see that fucking trailer like on YouTube. But I feel like it might have been him, maybe, because obviously,
Potentially.
if you guys have seen Loki or not, I imagine the reason that Strange's spell, even though he did fix it in the end, it's having consequences, not because of the spell itself, but because the timelines have been set loose
Right.
in Loki, because that has had
Lovely.
repercussions here. And obviously, Evil Strange. What did you say Evil Strange is called?
So it's
Uh,
called. Have you seen the What If series?
I still haven't seen it. I need to watch it.
What the fuck?
I know.
Watch that shit.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
will.
it's Supreme Strange.
Supreme
So,
Strange.
Supreme Strange is an amalgamation of lots of different sorcerers out there in the multiverse, which
Mm.
Strange absorbs the power of,
Ooh, okay.
and he becomes an evil version of
Doctor Strange.
Strange.
Oh,
And it's the
Strange
most
v Strange.
powerful. Yeah, it's the most powerful Strange there is. The most powerful person in the MCU.
That's cool. That's dope as fuck.
That's
And
that's
obviously
fucking nuts.
we're gonna have Wanda here. We're gonna
Yeah,
have
of
all our
course.
original Doctor Strange characters and stuff. So
Lovely
because you
Wong.
can see his girlfriend's gonna be in it as well, like a wedding scene. Remember that from the
Yeah.
trailer, which is really interesting. Um,
I wonder if that'll be a sort of multiversal thing these
yeah,
days.
yeah, like she marries someone else, and he gets really mad about it or something because he didn't take his
'Cause
chance or whatever.
well, it's funny you say that because you need to watch What If now.
Mm, I do.
It's one of the best episodes. The only episode that I wouldn't say you need to watch on What If is the Thor one. It's just fucking shit.
Oh, with Ultron and stuff, yeah.
No, Thor and Captain Marvel. So
Oh,
shit.
God, no, I'll skip that.
But
You said you had me
yeah,
at Captain Marvel, mate. But yeah, it looks like a great movie, and I can't wait for that as well. So that should
yeah,
be a
man.
good one. All right, so yeah, we covered most of it, but I just want to talk about how my theories were completely way off. But
What
you know,
about mine? Fucking hell.
but the film is very hard to predict. It does not go the route that it seems like it's got a predictable route in the trailers, but it does not follow that
Yeah,
route at all.
not at all.
I thought, obviously, that the multiverse would collapse
Me
based
too.
on the spell. And you know, when you see in the trailer New York like folding in on itself,
Yeah,
I thought that was genuinely happening. I did not think that was the mirror dimension. You know,
yeah,
I thought a lot of things. I thought this film would end catastrophically. I thought maybe Tom might get lost in another universe. I thought everyone would get
yeah,
lost. I thought
yeah.
Earth would be in chaos. Yeah, those were my thoughts. What were yours? I mean, the same sort of lines?
Basically, well, the only thing I want to talk about actually is the runes, the purple runes in the sky. We saw
Yes.
characters start to form.
Did you see
There's,
Rhino?
there's, there's three of them, wasn't there?
Yeah.
There was one on the left, one with a staff, and a woman.
Yeah, what was the staff?
Ah,
Who was the guy with the
Heimdall?
star? Maybe. It's
It,
weird.
I don't know who that was. Loki? Fucking
Possibly. I definitely
God
saw
knows,
Rhino,
mate.
obviously, and that was Andrew Garfield's Rhino.
Yeah,
Um,
because I'm guessing they were villains, right?
yeah, no, they were everyone who knows Spider-Man's identity. So
I guess
some
one
of
would
them
be
could have been
Black Cat.
friends. Some of them could have been friends.
Oh shit!
You know, that
One
they're
could have
not.
been Mary Jane
Yeah, exactly. They're not
or
all.
Gwen.
They're not all foes.
Don't know there's Golden Staff and
Yeah,
obviously Rhino
yeah,
in the
yeah.
sky. I didn't see Rhino. I'm pissed.
Oh, Rhino was the one that really stood out to me. He's like when they show the sky for the third time, you see his
Right.
you see his horn form. The thing that I'm curious about is why did in the obviously Eddie Brock's Venom got brought in
Mm.
right from the
Hmm.
Sonyverse. He doesn't know Peter Parker and he doesn't
No.
know Spider-Man in those movies. So I guess it's I don't really know. Like, is it saying there is a Spider-Man in his universe and he
Yeah.
eventually is going to know him? But it's brought him in before he knows him. I guess that's what they're trying to say here, right?
Yeah.
But actually, we know that. We know there's a Spider-Man in his universe because in the
Andrew.
Morbius, I told you about the Morbius trailer, right?
Yeah.
In the Morbius trailer, that's a Sony film. Morbius is obviously a new sort of
Vampire
villain,
villain.
vampire villain played by Jared Leto. In the second trailer that they released that they showed before I watched it yesterday, they actually said in that trailer, one of the detectives says, "Oh, this is this is the craziest thing I've seen since San Francisco." And San Fran is where Venom is set. And what's interesting about that as well is that the poster in that trailer looks just like Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. Like the suit is Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, which is very strange.
Yeah.
You got the Daily Bugle in there, but yeah, I guess.
And of
So Spy.
course, he says, Morbius says, "I am Venom."
Just, I don't know. Uh, that's a confusing one about where that's set. When it's
Yeah.
set, because they have obviously the poster of Spider-Man up in that Morbius trailer and it has traitor spray painted on it.
Yeah. So that means
Uh,
that that's when uh, obviously the people were mad at him in the world,
yeah, but then it's set in this Venom verse, Sony
which is
verse.
also weird because in that Morbius trailer you see Michael Keaton, who's Vulture from the MCU, and then you
Mm.
see uh, Morbius mention Venom. So are people leaking into each other's worlds? Is there a pocket universe
It's
where
something going on here.
there's a pocket universe? That's my theory for that.
Bloody Spider-Verse, mate. That's what it seems like.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Miles Morales is in due course, my friend.
oh, it's only a matter of time. It's only a matter of time. This is not the end of multiverse stuff for
They
Spider-Man.
they
I'm
need to get
sure
this
of it.
casting right as well.
Yeah,
This is important.
Samuel L. Jackson, mate.
I'm
Oh, to be fair,
hoping
he's already in it.
it's the kid from Stranger Things because he looks like the part. He looks like a Miles Morales to me.
Yeah,
He
yeah,
looks
no,
like he could play that very
that's
well.
a good shout. Yeah, I don't really know. I haven't really thought of any candidates for it. You know what I mean? Maybe the guy that just plays
Yeah,
Miles Morales in the game. I'm not gonna lie.
yeah, of course. And
That'd be cool.
something else we didn't mention is a certain someone, Daredevil.
Oh my
Awesome.
god, I almost forgot that cameo. Not in a bad way, but
So
just
cool.
my
The way
whole
he caught the brick. I'm just
yeah.
a good lawyer.
But everyone in my cinema went,
Yeah, literally.
which,
Me
which
too.
yeah, and that of course relates to Hawkeye,
Hmm.
um, because we saw Kingpin at the end of episode 5, and we were
Yeah,
curious as to whether that's the same Kingpin from Daredevil, but now we know it is. It's the same
it
Kingpin.
is. Yeah.
Because so now we know that Daredevil has always been set in the MCU. Um,
Vincent D'Onofrio, yeah.
yeah, which is fascinating. Which means Johnny Bernthal, man, get him in the fucking MCU. You know
Yeah,
what I
why
mean?
is he not there?
Yeah, exactly. But either way, yeah, that was a really
Well,
cool
no,
cameo.
John Bernthal is in the MCU then. Because that's what I mean. This Netflix universe, I
Verse.
reckon that's in the same pocket universe that Sony and Morbius is going to be in with the MCU.
Oh man, we ain't ready either way. It's impossible to predict. We may as
Tell
well
me
give
about it.
up predicting shit.
Yeah, just see what
uh,
happens now.
yeah,
Because obviously John Bernthal was in Daredevil, so
yeah. I know. We'll never know.
so
We'll
cool.
see.
We will never know.
Yeah. Well,
But I
until a
don't
few
think
years'
there's
time.
anything else we've missed, really.
Yeah, I was gonna say the only other thing I kind of got wrong was the other day. You know, me and you were talking about the timeline.
Right.
And I said to you that I thought this must be set after Hawkeye because I thought the movie was going to end catastrophically. So I thought
Right.
this must be the summer after Hawkeye. But in reality, it's set before Hawkeye, and you made a great point where you said you saw in the trailers that the musical was there, and that's the musical
Yeah.
that Hawkeye went to see in
The first episode.
in the first
First
episode,
glimpse.
yeah. And as you see, all the events that unfold were like set in the summer for Spider-Man because it's straight after Far From Home, and then you jump forward a few months and it's Christmas. And obviously he's swinging over the ice rink, the big tree, and that is exactly the same time that Hawkeye is set at the moment.
Hawkeye's,
So
yeah.
it lines up perfectly
So it's almost
with the
like this
timeline.
film and then Hawkeye, right?
Pretty much, yeah. This film ends, Hawkeye starts. So
Okay.
it's absolutely
Yeah,
spot
that
on.
does make sense.
And then when you
Yeah.
bring in people like Kingpin and whatnot, Spider-Man could be involved in that,
Yeah.
uh, which
Very
is
cool, man.
which is really cool. I'm just gonna give my quick review on it, and then you
Hmm.
can do the same. Give our rating.
Mm.
You probably already know
Mm.
what it is.
10.
Honestly, yeah, fucking 24. I don't fucking know. This movie was perfectly executed, and it's the
In
best
every
cinema
way.
experience I've ever had. And I've had
Me
some
too.
pretty good ones in recent years, but this tops Star Wars: The Force Awakens. Obviously, I'm not a fan of the sequel trilogy anymore, but I can't lie. At the time, I had a great time watching that movie.
Mm.
Brilliant cinema experience. Same with Joker, I'd say as well.
Mm.
A brilliant cinema experience for me. But this, the nostalgia, the fan service, every element of it. The way the audience cheered and applauded and laughed and cried, and I've never got that animated in a movie theater before. Like
No, neither.
I've never
Never
grabbed
seen it
my
like that.
yeah, like I've never grabbed the person I'm sat next to so many times. You know what I mean? Because I'm in that much shock. Jordan, you're a good sport. You grab me back though, so you know,
Big him up.
it's fair. We're like shouting shit, but nobody in the theater cared because we're all getting excited at the same time.
Yeah, man.
Performances were outstanding from every current star, every old villain, and every single Spider-Man. Shout out Andrew Garfield. You were sort of the standout. I mean, there weren't really any standouts, but he really did catch my eye here.
Yeah.
They were all balanced perfectly. The way they balanced the film, the way they still made Tom the star, because they easily could have brought in, you know, they're bringing in old villains and they're bringing old Spider-Man. It would have been so easy for them to fuck up the balance here and not give Tom enough screen time and not actually make it his movie. But they still made it his movie. There was still great character development, and everybody got the perfect amount of screen time. It didn't feel like any villain was done dirty. It felt like
Yeah.
everyone got the screen time they needed based on how pivotal they were to the plot. And you know, it let them all be impactful in their own way. The soundtrack was brilliant. Once again, it's by I think it's Michael Giacchino or something. He's really good. He did like the Planet of the Apes soundtrack as well. So he's made some really cool stuff. I think he did Rogue One too. He did the soundtrack for Rogue One.
Nice.
Yeah, so he's brilliant score here again. The costumes were brilliant, bringing up old costumes. The CG to make them like some of these actors look young, like Alfred Molina and whatnot. The humor was brilliant. The special effects were brilliant. Writing and story exceptional. And yeah, I thought the end credit sequences were perfect in my eyes. I loved them both. And they've set up new stuff exceptionally. And it's given us stuff that we could have asked for stuff that we wanted in an end credit sequence. Like this is exactly what we want to see, and this is better than what we would have wanted. You know what I mean? For me,
Yeah.
I think it's better than anything I could have wished for. I gotta say it's a perfect film, so therefore it gets a perfect 10. You know, I think it made my dreams and many more people's dreams come true.
Absolutely.
Just a big thank you, even though it's just a big thank you to everyone that's fucking made this film. And obviously they're not going to hear it, but I'm so just
John
thankful
Watts.
for
Thank you very
John
much.
Watts.
Kevin
Wow,
Feige,
you've
thank
made
you very much.
brilliant trilogy. John
Amy
Favreau,
Pascal.
who probably produced it, Amy Pascal, yeah, just fantastic. 10 out of 10.
And of course the actors.
And of course, yeah, just everyone involved. Superb.
Everybody.
Yeah,
I give
you
it a
got
10 as well.
yeah. Anything else you want to add, like in terms of review terms, or
No, I think you pretty much knocked it on the head. I think this is Tom's best acting performance
mm-hmm,
as Spider-Man.
mm-hmm.
I think everyone played the part they were supposed to. I don't think anyone was misplaced. I think every scene was meaningful and
Mm-hmm.
well written, and just yeah, I can't knock it. I'd have to give it a 10 as well.
Yeah.
When I first watched it, I was sitting on an 8.5, just
Yeah.
because the first initial watch, you don't know what to give it.
You
You
need to
can't
sit on
go
it.
and throw a 10 at something. I've
No.
sat on it, I've absorbed it, I've understood it even more, and now it's probably my favourite film that I've seen from Marvel. So,
Yeah.
and even more than Endgame, and I love Endgame.
Yeah.
So,
It's
and Infinity War, of course.
yeah. I think for me it's the best MCU movie.
Yeah.
And it's probably the best
Wow.
Marvel movie now because the only thing that for me, like obviously I did like the X-Men films, but none of them were ever
Stood out
in
enough.
my top half. You know, like in the top for me. It was always just the original two Spider-Man films. But I
Yeah.
think this even tops that. It honestly does.
Yeah, man.
I think this is the best Marvel film I've ever seen. I think it's a
So good.
triumph. Yeah. Yeah. 10 out of 10 from both of us. Perfect 10s. Easy. Easiest 10 I've given, I think.
Literally.
Mm. I think that's all of it. That's all from me, Joe. Is that all from you?
That is all from me, my friend. That's all.
Yeah.
That's all I know.
Yeah. Thank you for joining me. Thank you guys for
Absolutely.
joining us if you stuck with it. We hope you've seen it. We hope you
If you
loved it
haven't
as
and
much
you're
as we
here,
did. Yeah. What the fuck are you doing, man?
yeah, I'm sorry, mate.
Yeah. Sorry, I just ruined a lot. But yeah, Spider-Man No Way Home. It needed a podcast just to review and talk about it, because a review just wouldn't have been enough.
Sufficient enough.
Yeah, exactly that. So yeah, thank you all very much for watching.
Yes.
Thank you from me. Thank you from Joe. And yeah.
Bye everybody.
Bye everybody. Bye Felicia.